waived DeWanna Bonner. I gotta say, I'm very, very surprised at the decision to simply waive her, but I guess because she had an unprotected contract, and that protects them and allows them to cut her. So they have waived DeWanna Bonner. And guess what? Ari McDonald is back in the picture. They have re-signed the speed racer, pesky point guard who was doing so much in those 4 or 5 games that she played for the Indiana Fever while Caitlin Clark was out on the mend.
Something is rotting in the Indiana Fever franchise. This isn't just about wins and losses anymore. This is about a full-blown internal collapse. A 5-alarm fire burning through the locker room while the front office hands out thimbles of water.
Steph, did you even... Oh, sorry. Do you have any parting message for DeWanna or anything? Like that you coached her before the season, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, obviously we're disappointed that things didn't work out. I love DB. I mean, DB is somebody that I have so much respect for. She's a Hall of Famer. And while I'm disappointed, I always, first and foremost, want her to be happy. And so I'm thankful for the time that we've had, and certainly, want her to be happy and wish her the best, and turning right now our focus to our team and what we can do to continue to get.
In a shocking 1-2 punch that has left fans reeling, the team announced the sudden departure of veteran star DeWanna Bonner. Almost in the same breath, they sidelined their golden goose, Caitlin Clark, with a mysterious injury.
She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does, and even in her pregame routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So
these aren't isolated incidents. They are tremors from a massive earthquake shaking the team to its core, exposing the bitter rivalries and questionable decisions happening behind closed doors. The official story is a lie, and the truth is far more chaotic than anyone imagined.
Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlin Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
The official statement read like a carefully worded press release drafted by a team of lawyers. DeWanna Bonner and the Indiana Fever had mutually agreed to part ways. It was a clean, sterile, corporate-approved farewell.
Groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back to back, a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So we'll see. Was it something?
But anyone who had been paying attention knew this was a lie. For 6 games prior, Bonner had vanished from the team for vague personal reasons, a phrase that in professional sports is almost always code for an internal disaster.
This just occurred to me. Caitlin Clark clearly not looking like herself. The Indiana Fever has the game put away, yet we still put her back in the game at 45 seconds left. Caitlin Clark dealing with an injury, not looking like herself. The game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you.
Then came the final brutal move. They didn't trade her to get something in return. They simply waived her. A future Hall of Famer, unceremoniously cut loose like a disposable asset. This wasn't a mutual agreement, it was an eviction.
I did not suspect DeWanna Bonner would be returning to the Indiana Fever. She has been out now for 6 games away from the team for only personal reasons, and the team was being really tight-lipped about it. They weren't giving any more information. But the whole thing, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of fans, is that there was something else going on. This didn't seem like something where there was maybe something going on with her family. It didn't seem like she was sick or injured. She just simply stepped away from the team, and nobody really knew why.
And let's not overlook the exquisite irony here. Bonner, once a symbol of reliability, transformed overnight into a walking contradiction.
Beneath the corporate jargon lies the real story, the one the franchise desperately hopes you'll ignore. This was about the unspoken war in the locker room, a conflict centered around one person, Caitlin Clark.
Oh, look, there's so many things that go into, and I'm talking about being happy personally. Like, I want her to be happy personally. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. You know, it's a different group. While system might still be very similar, it's a different group, and you know, things are happening quickly, and being able to mesh. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think we've seen that in sports for a long time.
For years, DeWanna Bonner was a respected veteran, a cornerstone of any team she played for. But the arrival of a 22-year-old phenom changed everything. The cameras, the headlines, and the entire gravitational pull of the franchise shifted to Clark.
Alright, so as y'all can see, man, the Indiana Fever ended up announcing the status report for tonight's game versus Los Angeles. Caitlin Clark out left groin. Oh, man. Look, that groin is nothing to play with, man. If y'all didn't see how Anthony Davis was taken out this season, well, I guess last season, or whatever the case may be, it just appears out of nowhere, all right? The groin is nothing to play with, man. And, you know, it kind of explains a little bit more why her shot's been off. We can see that she's not 100%. Of course, with the sniffing and, you know, it look like she's out of breath at times. Those things where it just kind of look a little off, right? It don't look like Caitlin Clark.
Sources close to the team suggest the atmosphere became unbearable. It was a fundamental clash of egos. Bonner couldn't accept becoming a supporting character in the Caitlin Clark show, and that resentment festered until it blew the locker room apart.
So lads, Caitlin Clark is out injured right now, and it appears that we know, well, she's out injured with a groin injury, and it appears there is footage of how it happened. And this one's on the coach. This one seems to be on the coach. But at the end of the day, I do think when it comes to this that it's not like there was nothing beforehand. It's not like she was 100% healthy. Because she seems to have been injured for a while.
This wasn't a veteran making a wise career choice. This was a legacy being tarnished by a cowardly exit. Bonner didn't just leave, she ghosted her team in its moment of greatest need.
If you ever made a move, they decided, why wait? We're not going to trade her. We're going to cut her. Now, I have to ask the other question. Is there something else coming after this? There has got to be something else coming after this. It cannot just simply be that you cut DeWanna Bonner and you re-signed Ari McDonald. It's funny how I don't know that any of us could have projected a few weeks back that DeWanna Bonner would be released.
There was no graceful farewell tour, no passing of the torch. She simply walked away, leaving her teammates to deal with the fallout. For an athlete who built a career on toughness, this final act was a shocking betrayal.
There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right. And I have to be totally honest with you guys, I'm not surprised by this news at all. I was just having a conversation with my fiance last night and I told him, I was like, I think Caitlin's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury. And less than 12 hours later, the news dropped from the Fever. But it's a tough blow not only to Caitlin because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court.
Years from now, fans won't remember her stats from this season. They will remember the moment she quit on her team because she couldn't handle someone else shining brighter. That is her legacy now, a permanent stain.
Just returned from a left quad strain. We said be closer to a month. We said definitely longer than the 2 weeks the team initially said, closer to 3 weeks. Congratulations, she made it back early. But now comes another injury on top of the left quad strain. It's a left groin strain in the last few seconds of the game on Tuesday, 2 days ago. They're saying it's day-to-day. Groin strains, especially for basketball players, are rarely day-to-day. It would be a good outcome if she returned in a week to 2 weeks. Day-to-day does not seem...
Rinse and repeat. That's the dance routine now. But the fans deserve better choreography.
But as one fire was being put out, another one was igniting. Just as the Bonner drama reached its peak, the team announced Caitlin Clark would be out with a left groin injury. To the casual observer, it seemed like bad luck, but for dedicated fans, this was confirmation of something they'd seen for weeks. Clark hadn't been herself, her shot was cold, her energy was gone, and her leg was often wrapped in tape. The timing is almost too perfect. Was this injury announcement a legitimate medical update? Or was it a convenient smokescreen, a perfectly timed distraction to shift the narrative away from the ugly Bonner situation? This rabbit hole of confusion leads directly to the bench and the front office. In a recent game that was already won, the coaching staff put an obviously hobbled Clark back on the court. It was a baffling, reckless decision. Now, the franchise is in full damage control mode. The injury updates are vague, non-committal statements like day-to-day, while Clark herself has remained completely silent. It raises a chilling question. Who is pulling the strings? They seem to be treating her less like a person and more like a prized asset, muzzling her to maintain absolute control over the narrative and protect their investment. But in the ashes of Bonner's dramatic departure, a new player has risen. The Fever immediately re-signed Arie McDonald, a guard known for one thing, blistering speed. This wasn't just filling a roster spot, it was a strategic move. McDonald is the complete antithesis of the drama that just left. She is young, hungry, and has zero interest in locker room politics. Her signing represents a clear message. The era of ego is over. This is addition by subtraction. By removing Bonner's toxic presence, they've made room for a player who brings pure energy without the emotional baggage. This entire saga, however, is bigger than just one player's exit or another's injury. It's about the billion-dollar question now hanging over the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is not just an athlete, she is an economic engine. Fans are paying premium prices not just for a basketball game, but for the Caitlin Clark experience. When she is sidelined with vague PR statements, that trust begins to erode. The Fever is violating that unspoken contract. So where does this leave the Indiana Fever? They are a franchise at a crossroads, staring into an abyss of their own making, with a bitter exit, a suspicious injury, and a front office that appears to be losing control. The team that was supposed to usher in a new, glorious era for the WNBA is now the league's biggest soap opera. The question is no longer about the playoffs. It's about whether this dynasty can survive before it's even been built.